this
Yeah.
side.
So welcome, Kate. Kate, I'm still having trouble with the Huber.
We've only been married coming up for 11 years, so finally got around to doing the name change.
You finally got around to changing your name from Kate McAuliffe to Kate Huber. So it's all good.
We got there.
Good. So welcome to the OFM podcast where metabolic health matters.
Thank you. It's good to be here. I love listening to these podcasts on my long run.
Yeah, you look fit. Have you gotten running already this morning?
No, so we're in the midst of some very cold, icy mornings, and I decided to get up early and do some work at 6:30 this morning so I can go for my hour and a half run at lunchtime when the sun's out.
Okay. All right. Right. I've heard it's been cold in Melbourne, so.
Yeah, no, I got up to go to work the other morning and left the house at 6 a.m. and put my hand on the door handle to open it, and it was just ice. Man.
Okay. All right. So we need to the reason we have you on is you've been doing the OFM journey for how long now? How old's your oldest?
She's coming up for 7 in December. So yeah,
it's been 8 years. Has it been that long?
It has. Time flies.
Wow. Man, does it. Yeah. And you were brought to us by one of our team members, David Gretsch. And so you've got quite the journey. And if I remember correctly, you weren't looking to have children.
I think I'd pretty much written it off as it's probably not going to happen. If it does happen, yep, okay. But it's not going to happen.
Right. I remember that clearly. And then we went through the metabolic reset, and as they say in Oz, you fell pregnant.
Yep.
Yeah, I love that term.
It was pretty much within about 2-3 months, I think, of getting very, very serious of OFM.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that threw a curve into your training and everything, didn't it?
Slight change to
to
lifestyle and plans.
You really embraced that. So go back there before you fell pregnant. I love that term. I just, for me as an American, falling pregnant rather than becoming pregnant or getting pregnant, especially in the weird world we live in now. I love the term. It's like, you tripped. And
oops, look what happened. Oops.
What happened? Oops. Yep. Where were you before you decided to start the journey of metabolic health and all this? You were a runner, just fairly recent, a couple years into a marriage.
Yep. So yeah, I sort of, if we go back to where it sort of all began, I grew up sailing dinghies very competitively, represented Australia at a couple of world championships, and was very, very competitive and a very focused sort of person. There was a lot of politics and personal sort of drama things that happened in the sailing world. So I kind of got a bit frustrated with that in about 2009 and sort of went, okay, I'm just going to take some time away and find something that I enjoy, and started off going hiking and doing multi-day hiking trips. But at this stage I was, very much in the traditional eat whole grains, they're great for you, but I was always hungry. And I found myself at about 80 kilos. So I'm currently, I'm 165 centimeters tall. So I was carrying, an extra 15, 20 kilos essentially.
Wow.
To what I am now. And in, I think it was 2010, I did one of the Oxfam Trail Walkers, which is a 100K walking event. You've got 48 hours to complete it in. And I had a number of overuse type injuries. And my physio basically turned around and said to me, if you ever want to do any endurance events, anything more than, running or walking 5Ks, you need to take a serious look at where you're at, because you're way too overweight. And I went home and I cried, and I probably ate a packet of chocolate biscuits, and then went, no, actually, he's right. And yeah, I really enjoy this endurance, these endurance events. They're a lot of fun. They're challenging, and it's that personal challenge. Okay, so went on the whole, okay, I can only eat this many calories and I've got to do it this way, but I'm going to just do the traditional lots of meals, lots of eat often type advice that you follow.
The Australian Institute of Sport.
Yep.
For athlete. Yeah.
Yep. Ate lots of little meals often. And look, it was effective in that I lost 10, 15 kilos, got to the point where I was starting to run 5Ks, which was amazing, because I'm not a runner. I can never run more than just down the street. So that then kind of evolved from 5Ks, 8Ks into half marathons. And I was like, yep, this is fabulous, but I'm always hungry. And I just battled with that for probably, 4 years. And I was working at the time with someone that was into CrossFit and paleo diets. And she was like, why don't you go down this path and try low carb? And I was like, oh, that's crazy talk. What are you talking about? And I don't remember the exact moment where I was like, this is what I've got to do. But I think it was a slow evolution into, well, what else have I got to lose? I was, 2014 and 2015 was where I think I got in touch with David.
Yep.
And
was he in your running club, or how did you know him?
I think he was on some of the Facebook, the Melbourne Victorian Facebook groups, running groups.
Okay.
And I was sort of just asking some questions, because I was like, well, I can't be running 100 Ks a week and putting weight on. This doesn't make sense. I'm always hungry. I will have breakfast and I'll finish breakfast and I'll be hungry. I had my Wheat Bix and I had a banana and I'm hungry. So, got in touch with David, and I remember meeting up with him. That would have been in 2015, and doing a secret little deal at the back of one of the running events of, here's some VESPA, try some VESPA. And I was like, this seems a bit so.
Back alley drug deal.
I think I handed him like $25 for 2 or 3 sachets of VESPA at a and it was in the dark, because it was like the night before an ultra, and the back of the registration tent. Doing some dodgy little VESPA deals.
There's been several of those through the years, not just with David, with me.
but followed David's advice, and I was like, wow, this stuff, there's something to it. It's magic.
Yeah, it's voodoo.
And I think, from there it's just been the slippery slope down into, there's a whole nother world of, it gets better. And a lot of learning. I've got to say that there's been a lot of learning along the way.
There's a lot of moving pieces, but once you get it down, especially the way you have it down, the actual execution of it's pretty easy, because you don't have time between a job, 2 kids, and a husband, right?
And a dog.
Right. Managing a house and all the things that go with life. You don't have time to be counting calories or calculating macros or worrying about whether you're going out in sunlight or whatever all these health experts tell you got to do, right?
Yep. No, and I think yeah, when you asked me to come on and do a podcast, I was like, why do you want to talk to little old me? I'm just your average, everyday recreational runner, go out for a jog every day, you know. And then I sort of thought about it and went, actually, I've got a lot of people that go, how do you do it? How do you fit it all in? How do you have enough energy to run 60, 70 Ks a week, plus work 4 days a week and chase your kids and do all of those things? It's like, yeah, okay, maybe I'm not normal. So yeah, it's good to have that chat and go, there is a lot more to it, and there's a lot more that people can do and do differently rather than just following the mainstream approach.
Right. You're actually what normal should be.
I'm not sure people will appreciate that though.
But I'm sure you get asked all the time by other mums, how do you keep your weight stable? How do you do what you're doing? You know, and be able to manage it all the way you are, right, in a sustainable way.
Yeah. No, there's certainly a lot of, you know, school pickups, drop-offs where you're standing talking to some of the other mums, and yeah, you turn up to school pickup in the running gear, and you've been out for another run. How do you do it? How far did you run today? And you're, well, you know, I've just been out for 10, 15 Ks. And they're like, but how? And you get this perplexed look of, I don't understand. So recently I've just, met up with some, I guess, random strangers on Facebook. There's a 100K event in September that you can do as a relay team of 4. And there's 2 ladies that were looking for some extra people to make up a relay team of 4, because they've sort of gone, hey, we've got young kids, and we haven't found the time to fit in and train. And so there's a conversation going on the chat on Messenger of, how do you do it and how do you fit in, and what's the nutrition, and what's your plan, and how do you fit everything in? And so I did the big long spiel of, this is the approach that I'm taking, and I've got a plan where I look at the week ahead and I go, okay, Monday, this is where it all is. And you know, I'm an engineer, so I love having the detail and the plan to just go, okay, here's my diary, I'm going to do this and this on these days. This is how I juggle and fit it all in. But then just always having that non-stop energy there. And it's my mother-in-law will often say, just sit down and relax. No, sitting down and relaxing, I can't sit down and relax. It's not in my nature to just sit down. There's things to do and there's places to go. And always having that energy in the background is, such a good thing.
So you did that first half marathon on VESPA, got the experience, and then that's when David hooked you up with me to go down the pathway, and then you got pregnant, had your daughter, and you were working as an engineer for Boeing at the time.
Yeah, that's right. Yep.
Right. Now you're a full-time engineer with a big construction company. Is that correct?
Yeah. So I kind of want to put in that I'm an environmental engineer. I'm not the true design the plane, design the tunnel engineer. I look after the environmental space and make sure that we're doing things as sustainably as possible.
Mm-hmm.
But currently working on some of the major construction projects in Melbourne.
Right. So you're, as an environmental engineer, your job is to make sure that in the process of whatever the company's doing, they don't muck up the whole thing with waste all over the place. That would be an accurate way?
We limit our impact as much as possible. And constantly fighting the good fight of, come on guys, we can do this a bit better, or can we do it differently? to really try and narrow the impact as much as we can.
Right. Currently, you're working on a major tunnel project, correct?
Yeah, that's right. Yep.
So there's going to be a lot of waste because of the boring process. You got a lot of fill that's got to go somewhere, right?
Yep. There's a huge amount of spoil that's got to come out when you're digging 2 6-kilometer tunnels.
Yeah. So all that earth, rock has to come out, and then obviously there'll be some waste products from all the concrete and asphalt that has to be put in. I mean, you have you and your team of environmental team probably have a full-time job. I mean, it's a career. It's real engineering. It's just not like you say, it's not traditional. Yeah. And I wanted to point that out because it's not like you don't have a job that's you can that's sort of just something to earn some extra money. It's a full-time career where you have to be fully engaged in what you're doing.
Yep. Yeah, and I think that's probably a really interesting point to make as well, and how it ties in with OFM and the VESPA is that there'll be some days. So I have the luxury or the benefit of being able to work from home sort of 50-50. So a couple of days at home, couple of days in the office. And there's some days when I'm working from home, because you've got that slightly isolated bit where you lose focus and you've just been sitting in front of the computer. And that moment where you get up and go for that lunchtime run and then come back, the clarity that you get of being able to fix some problems and nail all of the work that you've been trying to do. And I don't know how to get that message across to people of that actually getting up and doing that physical activity and going running, it actually improves your productivity. It improves your thought processes and creativity of, coming and attacking a problem in a different way. So many people that I've interacted with, and it's such a traditional view of, no, you've got to sit and you've got to do your work from 9 to 5. Don't get up, don't go for a run. If you're not sitting in front of your desk, you're not working. And the number of problems and thoughts and ideas that I've had whilst out on the trail.
During your runs. Yeah.
And being able to put that in. And I'd love to see that become more of a mainstream type of approach of, let's get away from the desks, people, and get up and move. And I don't know how we get that into society's thinking of get up and move, because it's actually good for you and it's good for society as a general.
Well, and it's not just that, because I totally get what you're saying, because I do my best thinking when I'm out running on the trails. It's what you're saying. You get it. It's incredible, because you'll be
do you stop and make notes as well?
Yeah. That's the problem is we have to, I don't know how you do it, because you cannot articulate, you cannot engineer or structure or control what happens. You just go out for a run, don't focus on any particular thing. And this is where the brain, biology, the brain, synapses all of a sudden fire, and boom, you have the solution to whatever problem you were trying to get away from. Because you're stuck.
You're stuck on it.
Yeah. And you're right about that there are places that do try to foster that. And I remember reading a paper about a company who really did make an attempt that, 25% of people's work time were to do whatever thing they wanted to do, like related or not like that. But it's one of those things where you can't scale or structure or organize in a way that makes sense from a conventional human construct way, because it is that creative thought process that drops in those aha moments that you can take back. And I don't know what that is, but when you've got a fat-based metabolism, when you're metabolically healthy and you just go out and run, it's just amazing the thought processes that happen, right?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, and then trying to bottle it is sometimes my biggest challenge. And I'm sure people have looked strangely at me because I've sort of pulled my phone out mid-run and opened up the notes thing, and I'll be furiously typing in to capture that thought of, yeah, we've got to keep it. We've got to keep it because that was gold. Because, you know, you come back home from a long run and then all of a sudden you've got kids and dogs and husbands and you're like, whoa, I had this thought. Let me write this awesome thought down.
Yeah, no, that's great. Now you've done several successful runs and you've just been on a constant trajectory of improvement in your personal sport stuff, right?
Yeah. So I think, as I said before, I'm your recreational, go out for enjoyment, but also that how can I just do that little bit better each time? And yeah, it's been so good that the last 12, 18 months I think it's probably been about 18 months since I've sort of gone, okay, I can get back into this regular routine and following sort of the structured training, the OFM training plan that we've been working on together. And yeah, sort of it's nice to watch the weekly kilometer graph just slowly climbing up and up and up, and just being able to go, oh, whoops, I've actually done all of these kilometers without actually going, oh, I'm sore and broken and tired. Where so many, we've got the street that we live in, so there's several people that are out running, but they're like, how do you constantly just keep building these kilometers? What are you doing? So you tell them and they sort of go, okay, good. And I don't understand why people are sort of, wow, you're so out there, you're doing these amazing things and we love what you're doing and we don't understand how you're doing it. But then you explain to them what you're doing and how you're doing it and they're like, okay, I'm going to slowly edge away now and I don't understand because you're doing something different.
Even though it's working, you're doing something different.
It's a very strange thing when you explain what I'm doing. And I've got one of my husband's friends, he's taken up running sort of 12 months ago, and he's getting right into it. And he sent through a photo for his first marathon of his lineup of 10 gels. And I just had this nauseous feeling. And I'm like, no, you can't do this. And so I'm trying to get my husband to message him going, get onto this, do this. This is how you do it. Because he's been asking for a lot of advice. And I think we might almost have him.
Okay,
we might almost have him. He's actually coming and doing an event down here in a couple of months. So I reckon I might be able to get him on the Vespa. That's my plan.
Well, that's sort of welcome to my world, because it just goes so far against the narrative that people get a little edgy about it, and it's like, this is voodoo. And even though they look at you and they say, well, what's working, and you're running, and you probably go running with your friends at a race and they see you're not taking in hardly any calories and they're going from gel to gel to keep from bonking, and it's a hard thing. Now, how old are you chronologically, Kate? Just so that people can have
I always struggle with this question. I've got to do the maths. I forget. In my head I'm like 32, but I'm actually 42.
Okay.
Yes.
Right.
Child of the 80s.
Okay, good. Okay, so you're in your early 40s and life's good. And I think the last time we were having a chuckle about the whole female cycle and all that. Any comments on that? I mean, I know it got you fit to fall pregnant, and I think the reason you started up in 18 months ago was because your son just got to the age where he could start going to preschool, correct? You could start having more of a life back. You were just,
So, I don't think I can probably count on one hand how many times I've actually had a full night's sleep in the last 7 years. My children are terrible sleepers. We've tried everything, and pretty much every single night. When my daughter got to, she was probably about three and a half, she started sleeping. But then obviously we've got the newborn at that stage as well. So yeah, operating on broken sleep and a couple of hours of sleep at best for most of that time. And probably, yeah, really 18 months ago was where the youngest started sleeping more. I'm still up probably once or twice a night to go in and give him cuddles at 3 a.m. because
that's what moms do.
That's what we do, right?
You can't get us husbands to do that.
No, and well, actually, the youngest actually goes, "No, I don't want you, Dad. I want Mum."
Yeah.
And I think we've had a number of conversations about the biology and the biological aspects of, well, yeah, it's Mum, and she's the caregiver, and she gives me the food, and she
nurtures you. Yeah.
Yeah, and Dad's off chasing lions or whatever they chase. Yeah. So, those conversations have actually really helped me to understand of, okay, this is how it is. And
it's just biology.
You can try and fight it all you want, and you can have the people that go, oh, just leave them there and let them scream and cry, and it's, well, no, that's not really nurturing, and that's not helping build their brain connections and all of the bits that they need to get established. You look at them and they're still little people that need lots of nurturing and love and support. So yeah, it's been challenging to go, okay, I really want to, from a personal level, I am competitive, and with myself, I'm very much the perfectionist of, I always want to do that little bit better. So, you've got these two small humans that you've got to devote so much time to, but you're also going, I want to do that bit for me. And there's that time that how do I carve that out? So yeah, sort of taking that pause. And I think still, while I was in that phase of the really young children, up to 18 months ago, I think I still did I think I did a 50K and maybe a few marathons in there as well, but they weren't.
Yeah, but training was mostly catch can and pushing the stroller and
get in the movement as best as possible. But yeah, now it's sort of really returning to that routine and the structure and being able to build, which is really nice.
Yeah, and yeah, you're going to do 100K this fall, correct?
That's the plan. So
trail race, yeah.
Yeah, so 100K trail run, which I did twice before children. The first time I did it was in 2015, and that was when I was just dipping the toes into the pond of low carb, and I think that was maybe just the first couple of times where I'd use VESPA. And I was of the, well, I don't need to sort of, and I didn't really get the whole strategic carb thing at that point. And then, tweaked it, got a little bit more of the understanding of strategic carbs, came back for 2016. I think I took an hour off that time. Yeah. So it'll be really interesting to see where we go. Yeah, in what?
That was the two ocean. Yeah, was that was the two oceans 100K, right?
The Great Ocean.
Great Ocean. Okay.
Great Ocean Trail. Yeah.
Yeah, and then the one you're doing is a different one.
No, it's the same one. So it's on over the same course.
Wow, good.
So am I allowed to swear? Because I'm an Australian and it just comes freely, and I'm like, I'm completely shitting myself at the moment, going, what have I committed to? We're in the middle of winter, it's cold, it's muddy, and I've got to get out in the morning I've got to get out of the house. It's windy, it's sideways rain, it feels -2 degrees. Yeah, I can do this. And going, I've got to get this training in to really be comfortable with it. But then, it's funny because you kind of then get out and you do the training session. So I did a there was a group run that was organised last Sunday, and they were, oh yeah, we're going to do about 25 Ks. I was okay. I had 4 hours in the plan. I'm like, okay, I'll loop out and back and take myself back to the car, sort of thing. And all of a sudden, I've done 36 Ks in thick clay mud, without even sort of thinking about it. And yeah, came home and then just rolled into kids and lunch and getting organised for the week coming. And my husband's looked at Strava and he goes, "You did 36 Ks this morning." I'm like, "Yeah, you're just normal." I'm like, "Yep." And then, yeah, it's a funny mix of where you're going, I've got 100 Ks and it seems big and huge, and how am I going to do it with everything else that's going on? Now you sort of think about it and you go, oh, actually it just happens. It's just rolling along, just ticking and happening. So yeah.
Well, and it's like, say, Kate, whether people realize it or not, we're all signed up for that big ultra called life, right? and you're certainly living it.
Yeah. And I think on that aspect as well is that, when people say to me, I don't know how you do it, how do you go out and run? And I sort of think about it and go, actually, how does everyone else do it? How do the unfit people actually keep up with life? Because we've had a really busy, chaotic couple of weeks, and last night I was just like, I'm so tired. I'm really tired. I'm just cooked. And then you're like, no, actually, I can keep going. I know that I can keep going and keep doing it. And it's that, I guess, endurance bit that comes in, just going, yep, keep on with it, keep going. But yeah, and I guess that's where the comments of, oh, you need to just sit down and relax come from.
But you also must have the same thoughts I do. How did I not do it before, or how did I do it before, or where would I be if I was on that 6 or 7 meal a day, energy swings, weight gain? That was if you were following the conventional advice, look at the trajectory you'd be on.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah. And
of course you wouldn't have fallen pregnant and had kids, but
yeah. It's also interesting you sort of reflect on, I guess, some of the family aspects as well. And I think you've done a number of the podcasts and articles before around the genetics. And my mother, her sisters are all one of her sisters is on the statins, and there's the high cholesterol all over the family. And trying to get them to understand that no, it's lifestyle. There is so much lifestyle in there, and make that change, and you'll be amazed what it will actually do for you. But they're so entrenched in that traditional, this is what we've got to do and how we've got to be that way. And you look and you go, well, they're sort of only in their early 70s and they've got so many health issues that a lot of these are very preventable.
Yeah, it's funny because another client I have, she's in her 60s and she's become a good friend like you. And, she's coming back from an injury and a lot of times she's not happy she's going so slow. But then I have to remind her where her health is in her mid 60s compared to the rest of her family.
Yeah.
And it's night and day. I mean, she wants to be back where she was running. She said to me, I think yesterday, her current workout pace is slower than her 50-mile pace at her peak. And it's you're older and you're coming back from an injury, and it's as you get older it gets harder, but it's like I said, look at yourself compared to everybody around you. Look at your family, look at your brothers and sisters, and it's like it's night and day.
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, I absolutely love being at a big event, and you know, you see that handful of people that are in their late 70s, 80s that are still pumping out a half marathon. Yeah. That's what I want to be. Like, I sort of look at my family and go, I don't want to be that person that's got arthritis and is grossly overweight.
Diabetes or cardiovascular disease or everything else that people have accepted as normal.
Yeah, of just the conditions of the inflammation, and you just I'm going to work down this path rather than and being able to be there, and even if it's not even competing, but just getting out and moving every day. Well, I'm well into my 70s, 80s, 90s if I get there. I want to be that old lady of the trails. Just that longevity and being able to be out and play is really what I aspire to.
Well, and I want to commend you and your husband too, because you guys are setting really good examples for your children. I mean, they're growing up in an environment where both their parents are very active, and you guys even have sometimes a healthy competition with each other, right?
Who's challenged me again? So there's a 10K run. I think it's 3 weeks after the 100K, and he's like, I've got you, and I'm shit. I've got to talk to Peter about this.
Oh, you'll be fine. You'll be fine. You'll be starting to feel your oats again after 3 weeks. By week 3, you will be. If you can hang on to him by 8K, you'll smash him.
All right. Well,
you have the endurance. Of course. Now that he's using Vespa.
I'm sorry. I'll be putting the Vespa in a secret hiding spot. He's not getting any on that day.
He'll be making a back alley deal with David.
No. He's not. He's not getting any outside support.
Because he's kind of started to see the light that there might be something to this craziness, right?
Yeah, absolutely. He's certainly sort of been a fence sitter. I'd say he's seen the benefits that I've had, and as I mentioned, I'll come home from a run and he'll be like, you actually did that run? You ran on these hilly, muddy trails for 3 or 4 hours, but you're still fresh and you're still moving around. What? And he's had a couple of tries of Vespa, and there's something to this. There's definitely something to it. That he's not, I guess, fully converted just yet.
Okay, so you're going to hide the Vespa from him on that 10K.
Yeah.
Oh,
3 weeks after 100K, he's trying to race me over.
You'll be fine. You'll be fine after. You'll be flat for 2 weeks, but then by the 3rd week, you'll be feeling really strong.
We might have to drop a few park runs into the training.
Right. Well, we'll see how you go with all that, but that's great. Yeah. Any advice you would give for people, based on your experience and, looking around and seeing others and, what's going on, and I'm gonna say, being in Australia, I mean, it's the last 4 years have been really revealing.
Yep.
If anybody's paying attention to what's going on, because like right now, this weekend I have my son and he went with me and we went out, and then their mother took the daughters down to Los Angeles. She got COVID. Now the other one has COVID. They all got vaccinated. They all have been vaccinated and they've had COVID several times. I'm like, okay. I can't say anything, but sometimes there's certain elements in the healthcare industry that have more of a financial motivation than a health motivation.
Yeah. I'm not sure where to start.
Sorry, I put my tinfoil hat on. We're riding.
No, look, I think the thing that comes to mind is the old health is wealth. And yes. You can't, you can't put a value. It's invaluable to be able to, be healthy and well. And as a society, we're just so entrenched in, quick, easy fixes and not looking at the big picture.
Yeah, they're Band-Aid fixes, not root cause fixes.
Yeah. And the other thing that sort of is coming into my mind is I'm a big fan of Ted Lasso. I've watched that show when it's been crappy weather and I've done my runs on the treadmill, and I'll just binge watch a bit of Ted Lasso to get me through the treadmill runs.
Now, what is it? Explain to us people in the United States what Ted Lasso is.
Ted Lasso, it's a series that
is it the TED Talks?
No. It's a bit of a I don't know if you call it a comedy. It's a great series where there's a woman that owns a UK football club, so soccer, and she's been screwed over by her husband, so she wants to screw over the football club. And so she hires Ted, who is an American football coach, to just completely screw the club over. But he is this just amazing, beautiful human that believes in the best in everyone. And so there's this scene where he's basically screwing over the ex-husband of that used to be the owner of the football club. And he's basically like, you need to be curious. And if you're curious, then you understand so much more and you see more details. And when I was watching that one, it was a couple of years ago now, and I just went, yes, people are not curious enough, and they're just too, okay, we're just going to look and we're just going to follow, and we're not going to ask questions. And that really resonated with me, and it's sort of, actually, that's a lot of what I've done previously with work and with other elements of life, of asking why. And I guess I've probably pissed a few people off, even recently in the last week or two with work, going, but why? Why do we do that? Why aren't we exploring and looking at other things? And that's what I'm trying to teach to the kids as well, of, it's okay to listen and that's what people are saying, but it's also good to understand why and explore where everything actually sits and fits, rather than just believing. So I tend to be that, look, I don't know everything, but I'm going to ask why. And I really take that approach as much as I can in terms of everything, of health and well-being. And I think that's something that I didn't do when, I was 15 kilos heavier. As I know that I went to a sports nutritionist and dietitians going, why am I always hungry? And they were, well, this is the cookie cutter, eat these things, do this, have porridge in the morning and some fruit, and then eat like a salad with pasta at lunchtime. Okay, cool, do that. But I didn't actually ever dig into the why do we do that, and what are the actual pathways for the energy, and how is the body meant to function? Because I guess you've always been told from, early schooling of this is the food pyramid and you don't eat many fats because fat's bad for you and margarine's good. And even through childhood and the 80s and 90s, I've got the memories of being at my grandparents' place, and they'd have the tubs of the oil butters.
What was that? What was that biscuit that they eat in the UK and Australia? Weetabix. They take like cardboard. But yeah, they take cardboard or something. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just I don't really know what it's flakes of wheat and it's all pressed together, and there's a whole campaign. The marketing campaign is around how many wheat bix do you do? How many wheat bix do you eat for breakfast? And it's a bit of a
well, and you know, the thing is what you're saying about curiosity. This has been what we've seen, and you're a perfect example of that. Is, you know, because the whole VESPA OFM paradigm is so out there, if we can get somebody to get that experience, that triggers that spark of curiosity.
Yep.
Right. And like, you've been continually coming back to that and asking questions and inquiring and wanting to do more. And I think, no, you're absolutely right, because you have to have some level of comfort and security to be curious, because and also be willing to eschew convenience, because following just what you're told to do is mentally convenient. You don't have to do any mental hoops and all that. But curiosity requires you to be comfortable enough to where you're, and unfortunately, so much of marketing and health news is based now on fear.
Yeah.
And so it keeps people stuck, you know, because you got, on the one hand, you got this message of diabetes, cancer, cardiovascular disease, and everybody's fat, got cardiovascular on statins, right? And all this, and yet they're not willing, and it's only growing, right? And yet they're not willing, nobody's willing to rock the boat because they're scared that they'll lose dependence upon the healthcare system.
Yep.
And it's a real conundrum. And then when you get to where, say, you and I are, and our other athletes, David, you're kind of free of that. Like you say, you have that health wealth, but you don't, you know, you have a healthy dependence on the healthcare system. Say if you got in an accident or injured.
Yep. Or if you've got some infection or something, right, that's this is
right. Those kinds of things. But you've dramatically reduced your risk profile for developing all the stuff that's just eating us alive. Yeah, you know, we're eating ourselves alive, and then these chronic diseases are eating us alive, both from a physical and economic standpoint. Yeah.
It's a crazy spiral.
Yeah.
We're in. I hadn't actually had a checkup of medical sorts in any way for, I can't remember, and so I wasn't really too concerned, but you know, everyone had been, oh, come on, you need to go. Yeah, sure, okay. So I finally went and did the generic traditional checkup. Had the blood test for like general cholesterol and iron and all of the traditional markers on the Thursday morning. And I get this phone call back from the doctor on Friday morning of, oh, we need you to come in and talk about your results. And I'm like, okay. And that was on the Friday morning. So it was basically less than 24 hours. And I'm like, shit, am I dying? What is wrong? I'm feeling healthy and great and I've never felt better, kind of thing. Like, I'm tired because I have 2 kids and nothing's wrong really. And I get in and do the follow-up appointment, and it was like, your cholesterol's high. Yeah. And because, of course, like the LDL's like above their 2.5. And I'm like, yeah, okay. He's like, now all the damage is done for women when they're in their 30s and 40s. You need to get this back under control. I'm like, yeah, no, I'm not concerned about that because the ratio was good and the triglycerides was like 0.8.
Yeah, it was
I'm
low.
like,
Yeah. And we
I'm
know your
like,
vitamin D is high because you're on vitamin D. Yeah.
I'm
And your
like,
insulin's low. Yeah, you're good.
I'm happy. No, you need to retest and don't. This is the approach that I'm taking. So I understand it, and I'm really comfortable that this is okay. And he's like shaking his head, going, "It's not okay. You need to drop eating cheese." And I'm like, "No, sorry, I am not dropping cheese. No."
Yeah, I was saying this yesterday or today on a social media thing, but it's context matters. And I've said it before on podcasts and all. In the context of the general population who has low vitamin D, high fasting insulin, and high triglycerides, high LDL is cardiovascular disease in process. But that's the data. Now, in the context of somebody like you who keeps their vitamin D elevated, your fasting insulin is probably between 2 and 4, and your triglycerides are not, very low, right?
Yep.
High LDL is a sign of superior health, which means you'll probably live longer.
But I was just laughing at the urgency in which they contacted me to come back. And I obviously blew up the computer system because it flagged and it was in red on the results and on the screen. Yeah. I was like, the urgency in which they're like, God, it's okay. Yeah, that context. And again, coming back to that curiosity of just explore it a little bit and see what it means. But it's just so entrenched that, yeah.
Yeah, and you as a fat adapted ultra runner, there's a paper, I'll send you that paper because it was the second paper to come out of the faster study. And of course, it was on males, but they all had elevated LDLs, and it's because your body's trafficking LDLs to get the energy. It's not accumulating the way it would with somebody who has all that inflammation going on. Yeah, and but like you say, there's no curiosity to look by your doctors to look further into why it is and what the context is. It's just that number's flagging, you're in danger.
Yep. Yeah, you're going to be back here in 6 months because you've got coronary disease and
yeah, it's crazy pants.
It's a strange world.
Yeah. So I love your thing on curiosity and that's certainly good that you're doing that with your kids, but also when you're around kids, when you're raising them the way you do, and I can see from the pictures in the back there that that's a wonderful age that they are curious and open, right? And they're asking questions. Yeah.
Why are you doing that, Mom? Why?
Yeah. No, it's great.
Yeah. So constantly trying to give them that information, and it's and obviously it's hard because you start coming into birthday parties where we got invited around the other night to this impromptu birthday party, and it was just chocolate and cakes and chips across the table, and it was like 6 o'clock, and dinner at our place, we've been buying sort of 2 kilos of minced beef a week, and the kids will just demolish this beef mix that I've mastered. It's something you can whip up in about 10 minutes flat. You grate a couple of carrots and add some tomato pasta, not the pasta sauce, but the passata, so the crushed tomatoes, and you just add that in, you cook it up. You add a small handful of noodles to it, a whole lot of grated cheese on top, and that's how we're living at the moment.
We smash it.
Yeah, it's one of those things, and you can just heat it up, and it's there. And some nights it's made with love, some nights it's just made. It's made and it's on the table, but we eat. And I was just all I wanted was a good serve of meat, of this meat saucy stuff that we've been concocting. And I was okay, well, I think I ended up with like a party pie, a small little mini pie for dinner, and a piece of cake. And I was just like, this is not really what I want, but okay, I'm here. Just roll with it. And the kids sort of both went to me, was that dinner? When we got home at sort of 8 p.m. Yeah, no, that was dinner. We've had dinner. We'll get back to normal tomorrow. And I think that's the cool thing about OFM as well, is that, yeah, you can have those days and nights where you go, yep, all right, I'm just going to eat this because this is, you know, the socially acceptable thing to do. We've been invited around and we do this. You feel a little bit average after eating it, and then you just go, right, okay, back on the normal.
Yep, exactly. That's how it works. And you know, that's the thing, when you have that metabolic capacity built up, you can't allow for that kind of thing where socially it's not worth it to be the naysayer, you know,
to argue against it. Yep. And I think that's probably been one of my learnings as well. Of, yeah, initially I was like, oh my God, I can't do any carbs. I can't do a slice of bread. I can't do this. I can't get into any carbs at all. And yeah, as we've sort of had a few discussions earlier in the year of the old Vegemite and cheese.
Yeah.
Toasty.
Yep.
Yeah, as that of a, yeah, I know that I'm going out and doing a 3 or 4 hour session, then yeah, that's a completely acceptable fresh piece of sourdough with butter and Vegemite is one of life's luxuries.
Speaking of cheese, I've got some really well-aged triple cream brie. Right now it's really well-aged to where it's really stinky. It's got that ammonia.
Yep.
And I had a toasty yesterday with butter, Vegemite, and brie cheese on it. And it's, so good.
Yeah, that would
be.
I
went out and bought it. I went out and bought a loaf of sourdough, so I'm going to just like eke it out over the week. But that's you know, it's strategic carbs, right? Right.
Yeah. Yeah. No, there's something, and I also think that, yeah, there's so much to that individual approach as well, where it's that playing around and going, what works and what doesn't work for me. Yeah. There's been times where it's like just doing different things and you know, rolling with life, and you're like, yeah, I'll have that, and then you get out for a run and you're just like, oh my God, that was the worst thing ever. And then sort of thinking back to the run that I did on Sunday, so 4 hours, and I got out of the house really early to sort of not wake anyone up and get going. So I kind of did this. I'll just, because it was really cold, I'm just going to stick some emergency food in my pack because it's so cold. I'm going to be running back by myself. There's not going to be anyone around. And then I got home and I was unpacking the bag and cleaning up the mud. And I went, what's this in my bag? Oh, that's right. I've stuffed a banana in to the bottom of my pack as emergency food, just in case. And I was like, I didn't even have a thought of needing any food at all for the whole time. I think I did a VESPA at the start, as is habit. And then, yeah, about 2.5 hours in, I was like, yeah, drop another VESPA. And yeah, just it was absolutely flying along, just enjoying it. And I think that's the thing as well that I want to make the point of. I've been doing all of these longer events and the longer runs, and I've done them with a smile on my face. And I've the ability for me to be able to talk mindless shit the entire time and not go into that deep, dark place where you're like grumpy and not talking mindlessly, has been probably the biggest change that I've had since doing OFM. Like, I don't know if that's a selling point.
Well, it's just all, you know, that's the whole idea, is to turn on that free flowing of fuel, right? And it's that's why we call it optimized fat metabolism, because it's not just using fat for fuel, it's using fat to convert into glucose and ketones to meet that metabolic need. And your liver, you know, all your signaling, all your hormones are lined up that way to where you're in this really what I call blood sugar stable state where I've had people say, yeah, I can do math when I'm using Vespa, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, that's probably, just thinking about it now, has been the biggest change of, in the dark old days where, you'd get into that, I'm tired, this is just a grind type
This
phase.
sucks.
And you'd just be grumpy and you wouldn't want to talk to anyone. And you'd just be, don't talk to me. Can't say a word. But now it's a very different of the joy that's there, instead of just, I'm here and okay, I'm in that shit spot of 70 Ks in and I'm grumpy. But I haven't really experienced that in any of the ultras anymore.
Yeah, the other thing that's really good when you get that free flowing of fat, so that you can, like I say, you metabolize fat for energy, but you also make glucose and ketones to meet that metabolic need, is when you have a hard workout or a hill climb, a long climb, I say when the difficulty of the workout pushes against you, you feel you can push back. It's not like you're hanging on, or like you say, this just sucks. Can I get through it? It's like, no, I want to go at this, have a go at this, right?
Yeah, it's, you don't want to just sit down on the side of the trail and just curl up in fetal position. It's like, no, I've got this. Like, it's hard, but I've got this.
Yeah.
It's, a very different feeling. And I sort of almost mindset comes in, but it's not the mind. It's the feeling that's in the body of, it's hard, this is tough, but I've got it, and I can keep going and I can keep pushing.
Well, and what you were saying about mindset is also, I think this all carries into a much larger picture in terms of, like I say, that big ultra called life.
Yeah.
Right? You're not curling up in the fetal position or lashing out at your husband. You know what I'm saying?
Look, let's be honest, there still is a few of those moments.
I know. That's a good thing, and that your hormones are working where they are. But you know what I'm saying? It's like, if you can go out and do those hard things on the trail, you kind of come back with, okay, I can deal with the chaos of life.
Yep. Yeah. It just gives you that little bit extra of, I can keep doing this.
Yeah.
I can get through until bedtime.
Yeah. And I think, you were saying about how you don't get a lot of sleep. And that's one of the things I've noticed in my own journey, and it's also been corroborated by other athletes, is you can actually get by with 1 or 2 hours of less sleep because you sleep deeper. Those hours you do sleep, you get sleep.
Yep. Yeah. It's amazing. A lot of people that I work with are younger, and so they've sort of in their 20s, and you come back in on a Monday and they're like, I'm so tired. I was out doing this and this, and it's like, I'm just so tired because life. And you're like, you don't have kids, you went out socializing, what else are you doing? How are you so tired?
And you ran 40K on Saturday.
Yeah, and so I ran for 4 hours, and then I did some gardening and chased kids around a playground, and I'm not tired. You don't know tired. How can you be tired? But and I guess I was similar of, I always thought you needed that big 8 hours of sleep, and then you get 6.5, 7 hours of sleep, and you're like, okay, let's roll.
Yep. So one thing I wanted to give you personally this time of year, I don't know if you're doing it, but a hot lemon ginger tea, an herbal tea with heavy cream and honey or sugar, that sits really well going with a Vespa going out on your run on those cold days.
Yeah. Okay.
Try that and let me know how you like that.
Yeah, I'll give it a try. But yeah, I've been absolutely smashing through the bone broth. Chicken bone broth has been my
Well, then
go-to.
just add some coconut milk or cream to it
Really?
in the morning. Yeah, in the morning.
Okay.
In the morning when you go out, if you're going to have a cup of hot broth, just add either some hot heavy cream or some coconut milk, because the hot broth will emulsify that fat. It'll absorb real nicely, and you'll feel you got the energy thing going really well.
It just sounds a strange combo to put the cream into the broth, but I'll give it a crack. It just brings to mind one of the VESPA ambassadors, was it last week or the week before, that tried to put the VESPA into the coffee?
I don't know about that. I forgot. Man.
Just no. That
Yeah. That's heresy.
You hadn't had your coffee before thinking of that one.
Yeah, exactly. No, either coconut milk or some cream in your broth. If you're smashing that just, you don't need much, but it'll fuel you for these cold morning runs.
Yep. Okay, I'm hoping that we might almost be done with our cold morning runs.
Well, I hope so for your sake, because I've heard it's been really particularly cold in Melbourne these days.
Yeah, I think the other day it was frosty, and then we had a fog roll in, a thick fog, and it didn't get above about 5 degrees for the majority of the
and
day.
it's just that moisture just goes right through your clothes.
Yep. There's no warmth at all.
Yep.
But yeah, there's a little bit of sun out today, so hopefully in another hour or so I'll head out for a run. And
no, that's good. You got that flexibility to do that. So Kate, thanks so much for your time. Any other closing thoughts? We'll probably have you on again after your 100K or maybe after your 100K and your 10K.
100K and the 10K, and we'll have the recap. No, look, the only thing is, my level of absolute appreciation for you and everything that you've done for me. The training plans, the chats are just absolutely invaluable. It's been an absolute life changer. So, truly, thank you.
Well, thanks for representing us.
Sorry?
Thank you for representing us.
No, anything that I can do to, give back, but also to get people to realize that, you don't just need to follow mainstream thought process. There's better options out there.
We need people you actually to be part of our team of people advocating, because when I say it, he's got something to say, he's got something to sell, he's this guy's kind of crazy, and because I'm a little nerdy, I get off in the weeds and really lose people. You know me well enough, but
is it the best people? All the best people are a little crazy.
Probably a lot crazy. Because everybody thinks they're crazy when they're doing it. If you look at somebody like Walt Disney, of all people, right? When he started the Mickey Mouse thing, the animation with Mickey Mouse, everybody thought it was crazy. How's an animated short of a mouse going to be? And all of a sudden there was Steamboat Willie, and it became, and then he took all the profits from that and put it into the next big thing, which was a full length feature film of a fairy tale called Snow White. That was the first animated color full length feature movie. People thought he was friggin' nuts. Who was going to watch an animated full feature movie that was a fairy tale? And
we're still watching it today, right?
Right. And then that launched Walt Disney and all his animated pictures, and then he plowed all the money in from that into Disneyland, and everybody thought the idea of Disneyland as a theme park was friggin' nuts. So
people go from all over the world to go to Disneyland.
And so there's you got to have we need those nutcases, because we're the kids that don't stop asking questions. So it's been a fun ride, and like I said, it's been people like you that's really committed me to moving forward with this, because you know, I've been plowing money into this and losing money ever since I started it, because I'm not a good businessman, but also because I know that this is something big to help a lot of people. And it's been people like you who've said this. You've turned my life around. You know what your trajectory was following the conventional stuff. And it's like when I had early adopters like you and others who said the same thing, I know I had something that was life-changing. And also from what we're seeing in our collaboration with athletes, the implications for just general health are huge. And it's not a keto diet. It's not a diet at all. It's really about working with that individual and getting them curious so that they can work with us and work with themselves to figure out all those variables and how to get them to work for them in that special way on their particular journey to get their metabolism back to the one we all have locked inside us.
Yep. Yeah. And I think that's the biggest thing that it's taught me as well, of that flexibility and going, it doesn't have to be this cookie cutter approach of follow X, Y, Z. It's what works for you. And yeah, that's just
and trusting yourself
and
trusting your own self. Like you say, you know what you need to eat most of the time, but if you go off the rails at a social event, it's not the end of the world. And you know how to get back on the wagon.
Yep.
I go off the rails way more than people. I test those boundaries too a lot. And the other day when I was with my boy, Saturday, I ate crap. I snacked, I ate pastries, I did. And then we had Indian food that night. So I had the rice, I had the naan, and I was like, God, I felt horrible, right?
Yep.
The food tasted good, but I felt horrible. And I said, okay, that's it. I did a 24-hour fast the next day. I was, climbing the mountains, watching the moto trial. I probably walked 5 or 6 miles, but I didn't eat all day. I had a Vespa or two, and that was it. And just,
and then all of a sudden you're back to normal and feeling good again.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yep.
Yeah. So, that's the thing. That's the thing is, I think for you, it's really empowering.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. Yeah. To know that, you can be flexible. You can fit in with the crowd when you need to, and not, mess up. But you can also go, actually, I'm too busy to have grabbed any food as I'm running out the house. And I know that, if I've got a Vespa in my pocket or whatever, I'm going to be okay. I don't have to eat every 3 hours.
Yeah, or you're going to rip somebody's head off.
Yeah, it's going to be okay. And then there's times where I actually forget to eat sometimes as well. Like you're busy doing stuff. And then you've got the kids in tow as well. And you're, whoops, probably should feed them. Forgot to feed the kids. Okay, kids, it's getting lunchtime. We haven't had anything to eat all day.
But and that's the thing, you're also have this where your kids aren't growing up with that traditional, conventional thing, and you're going to give them that gift of health of, the whole OFM thing, the right kind of eating, supplementation, the activity levels. You and your husband are really setting them up for.
It's hard. I'm not going to deny that it's hard, that there's all of the marketing that that gets thrown their way, but also, in a supermarket of, can we get this? Can we get this? And it's like, no, or we can get one packet and that's our treat. We're not going to eat that all the time. You can try it. The really cool thing is though, that half the time they take after them. I'm hands up, chocoholic. I love chocolate, good dark chocolate. It's on par with cheese pretty much. So the kids, I think that might be a genetic condition, that they've got a little love for chocolate. But any time we've gone to parties and things, they're always, and the parents are throwing all the lollies out there and lollipops, and the kids are always like, don't let them, they'll try them. And I'm like, great, go try all of those things, see. And they're always, no, we don't want to touch those things. Yes, this is good.
I know with my kids, I exercise them, and boy, I got to be careful because I'll throw them a medium rare steak with some salt on it, and they're just gobbling it up.
Yeah. About 2 kilos of beef mince.
Yeah.
Just disappears.
Yeah. It's they're more happy. That's their preferred meal after they've been doing something.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Something that's got a, savory meat protein based thing. That's what they crave. So it's good.
Yeah. It's I think it's going to be interesting though, as the kids grow up with the whole vegetarian, vegan element that is circulating around society at the moment as well. Because
especially your daughter,
traditional 6-year-old is, aren't animals cute and aren't animals lovely? And then you're like, so because we live fairly rural, and there's a block over is paddocks with cows in, and we've got cows and we drive past these cows every morning. So I think we've started having some of those interesting conversations about eating animals, and it'll be interesting to see how that evolves.
Well, it's the cycle of life. That's what you have to explain it. There's this big cycle of life, and of course, if they're eating mince, gobbling up mince and the occasional steak, I think they'll get it because they're self-interested. But it's like, particularly like you say, with your older child who's a woman, she'll be a woman when she gets to that weenie age, and the influence of her friends come in, because women are the nurturers. They give life, they raise life. They're not the ones that go out and kill stuff and destroy stuff, which is what our job is, right? So it's kind of, you got to kind of couch that in a way that makes sense to them, but doesn't offend their peers, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So they can go back to their peers and have that conversation where they're all for the cute animals and how good they are, but they're part of this whole big biological cycle, right?
Yeah. And that's why I've already sort of started having some of those conversations about ecosystems and how, if you've got everything in the right balance, then it all fits. And there's the predators and where everything fits. So hopefully we can just continue to build that knowledge and go, no, we need to eat meat. We are meat eaters.
We are meat eaters, and tell them, let's say I got my eyes in the front of my head, I got canine teeth, and I only have one stomach, and it's like, we don't have 4 stomachs, the cows. That's why the cows can eat grass and they don't have to go kill other animals.
It's always an interesting conversation to have with a passionate vegan, though.
Yeah. And, the thing is I think a lot of people mean well. It's just information and belief systems a lot of times. I've had several vegans I've brought back into meat eating. And let's say it's part of the cycle of life and where we fit in that food chain. But also what I've seen is when you're doing OFM right, meaning having the liver capsules and the collagen rich foods like you're doing the broth, the amount of meat you really need to eat is so small, it's kind of scary. You and I probably eat way more animal proteins than we actually need, but I know that right now where you're going into this high volume training phase, right? You're not probably changing your calories all that much, yet your volume is super high. And so, in the amount of animal food you're eating is probably pretty small in relation to what you're doing.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I just, and that's one thing that, because I'm a bona fide carnivore who I will, you put a 20-ounce steak in front of me, I will eat it. But I'll be the first one to say, I don't need that much meat all the time.
Yeah.
Just, it's once in a while. It's just a lion that makes a kill. You make the kill, you gorge yourself, and then you don't eat anything for 4 days.
Yeah.
Because, animal products are so nutritionally dense. I think that's part of the problem is They're so nutritionally dense. We're eating too much of them. We're eating them out of balance. Most people in the Western world, like Australia, US, Canada, Europe, Western Europe, they're eating way too much muscle meat and not enough of the organ meat or the collagen rich foods, and not enough of that variety of essential proteins. And so, your body's hunting for different elements to make it all work. But when you get that balance in, it's so small, it's scary. I mean, I've worked with some vegan and high performing vegetarian athletes, and once we get the liver capsules and the gelatin in, and they're eating eggs and maybe a little bit of meat or fish, their performance goes through the roof. Their injuries disappear. It's just every time.
Yeah.
So that.
I know. Going to say that getting those, the simple things like the eggs, an egg in the morning is just sets you up for the day, and the little that you do need to eat. Yeah.
It's how little you need to eat. And, it's one of the things because so much of our modern lifestyle has become overindulgence and the indulgence with the wrong things, like coffee. I enjoy coffee with cream, but I watch my coffee intake, because caffeine, there's nothing good about too much caffeine. It's just too much sugar. And, yesterday I went to a Starbucks and worked for several hours, and I had 2 cups of coffee with cream, and I was on, but I also knew I was on too. But that, so we've taught you what sparked that in me is you're talking about the eggs. Well, eggs are rich in choline, which is really key for mental health, your colon, everything. And caffeine actually disrupts your choline metabolism. That's what makes you go to the bathroom, because it disrupts your choline to where the choline metabolism is actually disrupted to where the colon can't control the pulsing that makes you want to go, so you have to go. Right? I mean, I'm getting off in the weeds here. This is a Peter thing, but it's just, you're talking about choline versus Weetabix, right? Or what do you call them?
Wheat bix.
Wheat bits versus an egg.
Yeah.
And then, and then the caffeine is just like, if you're having wheat bits and coffee, you're just depleting yourself.
Yeah.
Whereas if you have an egg and some bone broth, you're set.
Off you go. Yeah.
Yeah. You got it down. So thanks very much. Any other questions? Any other comments?
Well, I think that we could probably talk for the rest of the day, right?
Right. But we both got work to do.
So we probably should.
Yeah. You got to get a little bit of work done before you got to go to work long enough to have some problems to solve on your run. Yeah,
no, I've already done a little bit of that this morning. So I was that's sitting over there. But get the run in before we have to pick kids up from school as well.
All right. Well, cool. Well, thanks again, Kate, for taking the time to have a chat about this and how it's worked for you. And as I say, you're so relatable to so many, moms who, they're type A, they want to do well, they want to, still have it going physically, they still want to be attractive, they want to raise their kids, they want to be a good wife, and they're trying their best, but they're the information out there is misleading.
Yeah it's hard trying to find the balance and being able to have the energy to be able to do that little bit extra juggle is
but once you get started, it gets easier. I mean, anytime you start something, there's extra work involved, but it's worth it, because I mean, you got started once you got started, you fell pregnant.
Yeah.
And that's been a great thing.
That's then gone. That's made everything more complicated. But as you said, the times and the runs are getting better again, and it's all uphill from here.
Well, and I don't want to go on too long here, but one of the things I really noticed in you is when you fell pregnant and carried your child and ran through it, and then had your first child, and when you really just kind of naturally segued into being a nurturing mother. You didn't stop running, but that was your primary goal. We talked about it's biology, right? That's the biological imperative for a female. And and it was just a beautiful thing to see. And then it wasn't like you were one and done. Okay, let's do this again.
Yeah. Then this youngest child, he's a force.
He's probably like you. He's probably like you.
Yeah, no, they're both intense. And my husband and I look at each other and just go, they've got either the best or the worst of both of us. And we're both, intense beasts. Which is why, we race each other on our own made up 10K races, because what else do husbands and wives do? But yeah, I think you might have, it has been a challenge, like, from being an individual and in the simple married life to
and
then
a career. You were a career woman.
Yeah, and then having kids and finding that balance. It has been challenging, but I think that's the key point of there's a pathway around the challenge of not having to do the mainstream thing and being an individual and finding that path and having people like yourself to support. David, Naomi have all been absolutely fabulous in helping guide me onto my path. So
I think exactly it's your path, and it's and taking ownership of that, and say we're guides, we're not gurus.
Yep. And as I say to my children, nobody knows everything, and if they say they do, run.
Yeah. It's like I say, the more I learn, the less I know.
Yeah. So no, I absolutely appreciate everything, and if there's anything more that I can give, or certainly if there's any people that want to have individual chats or reach out, I'd be more than happy to talk to
thank you very much. Yeah.
Every person about my experience. And as I said, I'll mindlessly chat for hours and hours.
Well, let's keep you going on the training side and the living side, and get you to that 100K once again. And ostensibly you'll smash it again, and then use it as and like I say, after that race is over, it becomes a training run for your 10K race.
Yep. Yeah. Easy.
100K training run to beat your husband.
10Ks. Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah, awesome. All right, Kate. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Peter. Yeah, love everything that you do. Really appreciate it.